Hi guys, welcome back to the Astro Imaging channel. Tonight's session, non-Astro must-have items. And before I start this off, I'm going to wait and see if some viewers pop into the room. I did get a test out earlier to make sure everything was working, but I just want to confirm. So I'm going to sit here. What I'm actually going to do is first I'll show off our image of the week. I see one person in the room already. Great. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to show up our image of the week. And I hope you can see it there. Another one goes out to Nicholas Kazillian, and this is he titles it "Diversity of the Universe." Really cool image with OU4 in it, the planetary nebula. We all know that one, but it shows a bunch of cool objects going across the field. An open cluster, a galaxy, a dark nebula, an emission nebula, a planetary nebula, and a reflection nebula. So really cool way of displaying this. I was surprised when I saw this. Just a well-done image showing off the diversity of the universe. And Nicholas knows, as always, he's invited to come in next week and talk about it. So I will leave it there. But check it out. Don't just look at it on your screen here. Check it out on our Google Plus page, and you'll get to see it in high res. And I really appreciate how well done this image is. So I'm going to pop back over, and maybe I'll steal my camera back just for 1 second. Sorry about last week. I can't take full credit, though. I think it was YouTube issues. I'm not quite sure what was going on. I think it had to do with that hack attack, because I did speak to a few other people who were trying to do YouTube streaming, and they had the same issue, or actually YouTube uploading, and they had the same exact issue I did. Nothing was working. But
hey Adam, can I pop in for 1 second? Just to let everyone know, you can also now access the weekly streaming events from our Facebook page. So if you're a Facebook person, we're posting it right on the main page. There's a link for the YouTube thing, and you can access it directly from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, and I say Google Plus, but Google Plus has not been so kind to us as of late. So basically, the best way to find us is YouTube. And don't forget, we now have this awesome chat feature, which makes it all worth it. The whole switch from Google Plus. And our first comment in chat, the squid. Yes, OU4, the squid, as always, as everyone knows of it as. Okay, but so I'm going to jump right into my presentation, which is kind of I don't know. I kind of formalized this slightly, but doesn't have to be as formal as it is. And after I'm done with my PowerPoint, you guys are welcome to share things that you think we should have. And this is basically non-Astro must-have items. So I am going to full screen share. And then here. Please stop me if you don't see my PowerPoint screen. But as I said, non-astronomy must-have items.
You're good. We see the screen.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. So these are things that, in general, what this presentation is about, are things you didn't really know you should have, but they kind of make life a whole heck of a lot easier. And one thing, storage cases and Pelican cases. I love Pelican cases. I swear, if they weren't so expensive, I'd own a million of them. And I've always thought of converting my luggage over to Pelican cases just because they're so cool. Only disadvantage is they're a little bit heavy. And then you put your stuff in them and they get a bit more heavy. But really cool items, waterproof, so you put stuff in there and it's perfectly safe. But at the same time, you don't have to go so expensive. These Tupperware cases, the Tupperware boxes, are great for holding SCTs or any sort of larger aperture telescope. And in the case of the Tupperware, sometimes your foam that came in your box for your SCT or your whatever telescope it may be will fit directly into that Tupperware case, so you can kind of store it in the factory packaging. At the same time, these little boxes that you see down at the bottom of the screen there, I bought that at Harbor Freight for, I think, $12.99 or $14.99. I bought some foam for it, and now it fits just about everything I want. You can put your cameras in it. Really nice way, nice clean way of storing your stuff. So storage cases, you really need them. Battery boxes. And the one that I see people having the most is the Minn Kota battery box. It's basically you can get them in marine or boat supply stores. But the cool thing about this is, first of all, it has a battery meter on the top of it. You see those little screws on the front of it? Well, those are a really quick way to hook your battery charger right up to the front of it. So like what I do is basically I'm using my battery, I'm using my 12 volt. When I'm done, I unscrew those things and I just clip my battery right to it. And then when I go out to open up, I unplug the battery, I plug it in, and then I'm good to go. So really cool, super functional way of both keeping your equipment powered and charging it up really quickly. Of course, Anderson power poles. We love these things. So why use power poles? It took me a while to come around to power poles, but once I started using them, I quickly realized how awesome they were. First of all, they're quick release. So you can plug them in, you can disconnect them really easily. But if something goes wrong, they're all interchangeable. So one wire will plug into any single one, and you can have extra wires. Really easy to use. Also, though, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but if you have your cigarette lighter, your 12-volt cigarette lighter plugged in, and you walk by that and you bump it a little bit, occasionally you lose power. And that, in some cases, requires you to reset your mount or do all sorts of funky stuff. The power poles hold on pretty nicely, so just kind of kicking the cord or something like that doesn't really mess it up so much. At the same time, you can individually fuse them. So you've got a fuse coming off every single power pole. I don't know how many people have had this issue, but there are actually fuses in those little cigarette lighter plugs, and occasionally they burn out, and that becomes a big pain in the butt because you have to replace them and do all that. With the power poles, if you do blow out a fuse, which actually I've never done yet, you usually have another slot in the distro panel where you can just plug it in. And at the same time, they have power pole distributions that have Wi-Fi power. So you can actually power this stuff over Wi-Fi. For those of us using a remote observatory that don't want to go outside at night to power everything down, well, that can be really handy. So power poles, definitely a great way to do it, to power your gear, to minimize your cable clutter and keep everything running. I don't know, my vote's for power poles. Okay, this is a cool little gadget, and as you can see, this is hooked up to power poles as well. But the cool thing about this is you can, and you don't need one of these running all the time, but it's good to see exactly how much power your gear is consuming, so you know what size battery you have to have. It's an inline power meter, and basically it tells you your power draw. You can hook it up to your mount and find out how much power your mount draws. You can hook it up to your camera, and when you hook it up to your camera, you can find out how much power your camera is drawing when it's warm out and when it's cold out. Remember, when your camera's cooling itself, if it's warm out, your camera's working harder. If it's cold out, your camera doesn't have to work as hard. And a lot of that power goes to the cooler on your camera, on your cooled CCD. So this is a really cool way to just determine your power consumption. And it's good to know because, well, if you don't have one of these, then sometimes you don't know if you're out of power until you're out of power. It's kind of a cool gadget. You didn't know you needed one of these, but you do need one of these. Well, you don't need it, but it's a cool thing to have. And as I get into power, we basically all do the same thing here. Deep cycle battery. It's good to have a deep cycle battery because they can be drawn down really low and it doesn't really damage the battery. Whereas if you're using a normal car battery and you draw the power down really low, you can really kill them quickly. At the same time, regulated power supply, you can plug it in and pull your DC power supply off of it. Some of them allow you to adjust the power output. I've had some gear that was a little bit finicky to the amount of power it was getting. So power supplies tend to be good at just giving out that perfect amount of power. Smartphone. Now, excuse me. You can do a million things with the smartphone these days. And I literally use my smartphone in my setup process. When I'm looking for targets, if I don't have something on my target list, I'll use it. You can use your smartphone as an internet hotspot. You can use your smartphone as a compass. You can use your smartphone as a flashlight. You can use your smartphone with TeamViewer to remotely monitor your equipment. So you can really do a million things with it. And keep in mind, you set up at a new site. You don't quite know which way north is. Well, you use your compass, right? Well, you've used your compass. You figure out which way north is roughly. You set your mount up and you can roughly point it north. Then you can even use the Sky Guide or any sort of program to determine where Polaris is and get yourself roughly aligned on Polaris. It may just give you a 5-10 minute jump on your setup, but definitely convenient. What did we do before smartphones? I don't know. Keep in mind, though, you can use your smartphone as an internet hotspot. So you have your smartphone sitting in your pocket. You have your laptop out. You can hook your Wi-Fi up to your smartphone's internet. And then all of a sudden, you've got internet on your laptop just sitting out there in the middle of nowhere. Pretty cool. IP camera. So I have an IP camera set up in my observatory, and it basically allows me to see my scope from anywhere. Let's say I'm slewing and something seems to have gone wrong, or let's say I take my first image of the night and I don't see any stars. Well, I can see if it's pointing where I think it should be pointing. At the same time, the IP cameras almost all will send you a motion alert when someone's in the observatory or when there's any motion in the observatory. So it acts as a bit of a security alarm. I've caught my kids in the observatory. I've caught bugs crawling all over my camera a few times. But basically, really cool gadget. You can see it has a Wi-Fi antenna, so if you're within Wi-Fi, basically does everything you need it to. No additional extra steps to set up. Computer. You have to have a laptop. If you're doing this stuff, really hard to get to do this stuff without a computer. But the other thing that a lot of people are using are these mini PCs, and I just got, not for my setup out here yet, although I'm very close, I just got an Intel Nook, and I am really amazed with, or really impressed with the quality of this stuff. I was kind of expecting it to be a slow PC. It has Windows 10 installed on it. It costs $230. Now, yes, it's just a Pentium. It has 2 gigs of RAM. It has, I think, 16 gigabytes, maybe 32 gigabytes. So basically just enough for the Windows install, the ones that I bought. But they do sell them with all different processors, with lots of different storage space options. And I want to say 3 USBs, monitor output, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, basically everything you could possibly need. So these small handheld or palm-held PCs really are powerful. Something you may need. Large garbage bag. Why do I have a large garbage bag on there? Well, if you've ever been caught out in the rain with your gear, it takes a long time to break your gear down. Sometimes you just need to get a garbage bag over it in a hurry. And I found this to be really handy. Even if it's just like you think it's just going to be a quick rainstorm, you can throw the bag over the gear really quickly. Occasionally there's lots of wind and dust blowing all over the place. Grab that garbage bag, throw it over your gear. You don't have to worry about dust. I've done the same thing when we were barbecuing. I wanted to get the barbecue grill going, but I didn't want to smoke out my gear, so I threw the bag over my gear, and then I turned on the grill, cooked my food, took the. But there's a lot of good reasons to have a large garbage bag in your box of tricks, just so you could throw it over there, over the gear, and not worry about something for a short period of time. Basically, emergency prevention. And at the same time, if you have to leave your gear unattended for whatever period of time, you can throw a garbage bag over it, and it kind of disguises it. People don't look at it and say, ooh, what's that, or run over and want to figure stuff out. Prevents some cables from getting snagged because they may be all over the place, but I guess it just depends on where your gear is set up. USB cables, don't forget. You want to have lots of USB cables and backups for your backups. You guys probably already knew that. Camping gear, folding chair and folding table. Whenever I bring my gear out to some remote site, I love having my folding chair and folding table. Just makes setup a lot easier. I feel like I'm a little bit more organized. When I don't have my folding table with me, my Tupperware container actually serves as a good backup to my folding table. But it's nice to really have a nice kind of office setup out in the middle of nowhere. If you're comfortable when you're doing all this work, then you're gonna, I don't know, you're able to focus a lot better. And by the way, you can buy a folding chair like this for $9.99. You can buy a folding table like this for, I think, 35 bucks, 40 bucks. Really cool thing to have. And it does fold up into a little satchel that is really portable. Tools. Now, I had left this off, and then someone pointed it out last week, and I realized, yes, I had to put this into my presentation. You guys, if you don't have them, you need strap wrenches. The strap wrench has bailed me out a million times. There have been a few times when it was really, really cold outside and I couldn't get something opened on my gear, specifically the clutches on my astrophysics mount, or even the dovetail bar. I couldn't open it up. You know, when it's really cold out, those things seize up really easily, and your fingers don't work so well. So these strap wrenches are a great way to really just loosen up any sort of finicky fitting. At the same time, I've had the T-adapters or whatever it may be either get stuck in the camera, get stuck on the back of the OTA. There's a million things that these things can help bail you out with. And as always, you've got to have a toolkit, so make sure you have your Allen wrench in there. Basically, the Allen wrenches tend to be the go-to tools that you're going to need, but you never know what tools you're going to need. Someone said, haven't you ever had to use a screwdriver? And the only thing I really ever had to use a screwdriver for was to open up a DSLR power supply, to rewire that in the middle of nowhere out in the dark. But you never know. You never know what's going to go wrong. So it's good to be prepared. Like a Boy Scout, always be prepared. And the last one, and this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but a chainsaw. Yeah. I think, you know, we're astronomers, so there's going to be times that those trees, they're always in the wrong place. Now, no, I don't bring my chainsaw out to remote sites to chop down trees, but I do frequent maintenance cutting here at home, and some of these nuisance trees really grow quickly. I have one that's beside my observatory that I literally have to cut every year, and you'd be surprised, but it'll grow to be about a 4-inch, it'll grow to have like a 4-inch stalk on it, a 4-inch wide stalk on it every year. Really pain in the butt tree, and I cut it down every year and it constantly grows back. But that's basically it for what I've got, and I know that some other guys in the room probably had some other things to share. So I'm going to take my camera back quickly. There we go. Oh, yes. And I'm seeing that. That's a good point, Bill. Useful on a forest road chainsaw. Yeah. and we've been prevented from getting to our club's observatory for that same reason. At the same time, now that I think about it, a good chain is a good thing to have if you have an SUV, because you can pull a tree out of nowhere just with a chain. But yeah, that's what I've got. So wow, some really good suggestions here. Rolling case from Home Depot. I've seen them. They're really cool as well. Guys in the room, what did I miss? I know the other day you had some great suggestions.
How about cables to start with? Lots and lots of cables.
Cable.
USB cables, 5.5 to 2.1 millimeter cables, extra cigarette lighters. Just a whole bundle of one of at least of everything that you could possibly need. At least one of everything that's on your gear.
So I think when we talked last week, the ones I mentioned were a USB stick or CD of your drivers and things like that. So if something catastrophic happens, you have to reinstall things on the in the field. It's good to have everything backed up. And insect repellent is one that is necessary for me being in Central Texas, but yeah, definitely good to have out in the field.
Zip ties.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And on the back end of zip ties is that 3M Velcro Sherlock or whatever that the new Velcro is, the click lock Velcro, instead of the soft kind that gets all dewy and soaking wet.
Yeah, I got a big roll of those. Just take with me everywhere.
Yeah, a lot nicer. The stuff sitting on top of your telescope doesn't start falling off partway through the night.
What I'd like to point out is you can get this in 100 places. I just Googled white plastic sheet and look for this milk white plastic vinyl sheet that you can buy, and you can use it in any one of a number of ways. They make great light diffusers. A simple 10 by 12 sheet of this stuff stuck up on top of your 10-inch SCT, the front of your SCT or something, and you stick it straight up in the air, and you're taking flats. You can cut it with a little circular saw, just standard saw. You can shape it. Well, you can cut a square or a circle that fits the front of your refractor, and tape it to the front of your iPad, and it helps diffuse your the light from the iPad or your monitor screen or anything, and you can just take your flats using one of these kinds of things. Very inexpensive usually. And if you want, you can get red versions of this stuff, transparent red stuff, and those big fancy red screens that you put in front of your computer if you're going to be out any place where there are real astronomers using eyepieces and things. You gotta put something in front of your screen. You gotta actually put a lot of stuff in front of your screen, and you can pay $40–50 for some of these red screens, or you can, for a third of that price, you can buy yourself some red plastic, just like this. Just Google red plastic vinyl or red vinyl sheeting, and you can find that and make great monitor screens for you. So there.
Forgot about the hand warmers. George Lutch suggested hand warmers. That's a good one.
Little 12-volt hair blow dryer.
Yeah, I saw a hair dryer. Yeah, and they do sell 12 volts now. They do use a lot of electricity, so make sure you bring an extra battery with you. But they can definitely come in handy. The immediate dew removal.
You hope you don't need them, but when you do, it makes you sleep better.
Yeah. USB hubs, yeah, I forgot to put that in there, but we all need USB hubs. Check them out, though. Test them. Try and break them, because some USB hubs are finicky.
I was listening to Richard Wright yesterday at nightfall. He was explaining the difference between the good hubs and the poopy hubs. The ones that you buy down for $8 down at Walmart, etc., are perfectly good hubs. If you've got them inside at a given temperature and they're running your printer. But it costs about 25 cents, 30 cents to make a little quartz. Well, it wasn't a quartz crystal. It's ceramic crystal that puts out temperature, that puts out a vibration at a certain speed. Where it cost a couple of dollars to get the equivalent crystal that puts out at that equivalent cycles per second. And that's actually what you need, is precise timing in there. It's when the temperatures change that things start to screw up with those hubs that Richard was explaining. So that's pretty interesting to hear that. Go ahead and spend the 20, 30 bucks on your hub. Also, be sure it says certified USB on any USB products you're buying. Don't just buy USB, buy certified USB if you want them to really work for any length of time. There. No, but I won't go there.
Interesting comment. Sheet of footfall sound installation to sit on. I guess if you're doing this stuff, either bring some insulation or bring like a sleeping bag, because you never know. If conditions are great, you don't want to pack up. You want to stay out.
The one after it is perfect, though. A good sense of humor and maybe a little bit of patience.
Yeah, definitely. StarTech USB hub. A lot of people say that's kind of the best. Still don't have mine. Duct tape. How did I forget duct tape? You need duct tape. Absolutely.
I just brought up a slide, Googled indoor-outdoor carpeting. I don't think we mentioned carpeting in the original presentation. And you're thinking, why do I need a carpet for? I'm outdoors. Well, because you're going to drop something. And you can either drop it into the grass, or in our case this weekend, the desert sand, or you can drop it onto a carpet, which carpet holds it there for you and shows you exactly where it is. And it's obviously makes more sense if you've got a 6x6 stretch of carpet underneath your imaging rig.
And a lot of people now are using, at the star parties, those outdoor patio mats instead of indoor-outdoor carpeting, which seem to do a little better in the rain sometimes. They're real easy to rinse off, and I think you can usually buy them at like a Camper's World or something like that.
And I think they pack cleaner.
Yeah, they roll up very nicely. They don't, no threads come falling off them and stuff. I had that AstroTurf stuff for a while, and 2 or 3 different kinds making mess in my car and my bags and stuff. It was nice to move on from that.
Small movers van to get all this stuff to the dark site.
Well, I think you did have a description of Tupperware bins, and it's really nice to have Tupperware bins, particularly if you can get them all sized the same size, so that they stack very neatly and cleanly. And if you stack them neatly and cleanly, you can even avoid bringing your table.
Yeah. Yep.
You did say red headlamp, didn't you? Somewhere in there?
I didn't, but somebody posted that red headlamp, which is a good point.
And
As an imager, I don't really use the red light so much. I mean, if I'm imaging, then I don't want to shine any light around, and if I'm not imaging, then I really don't care about my
other way around. If you're imaging, you don't care about the white light. If you're doing visual stuff, you don't want the white light.
Right.
Some good points about tape in there were that if you're using tape on your gear or something, either gaffer's tape or like blue painter's tape are a little bit better than duct tape because they don't have the real gooey stuff on it.
If you're going to use power poles, it always helps to have a crimper and a couple extra ends.
Absolutely. That's one thing I would not leave home without.
Yep. No matter what it is, bring extras. Something's always going to break.
What do you use for power strips? six pole or, you know, six outlet power strips and things. Yeah, did you get that on your list?
Yeah, a power supply, 12-volt power supply. But coming into that, a UPS is very helpful, either at home or at star parties, because at star parties usually we're taxing the power grid that's coming into them. So UPS can help you if there's a quick brownout and keep you from ending your session earlier and having to start all over. And at home, if you get those flickers, you know, your mount won't get lost, or you won't have to stop your sequence or whatever you're running at that point.
Definitely a good point. Extra fuses. Another good point.
Yeah, some towels and perhaps even paper towels and toilet paper
Yeah.
if you're staying out for the night.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground on this one. Lots of good ideas. We have hit a bit of a lull with the presentations, so I'm trying to come up with some other ideas for presentations. I don't know if any of our viewers, I see we have a ton of viewers tonight, so if anyone out there has any ideas for presentations or things they'd like to present, as always, we are kind of desperately looking for people to present, whatever it may be. If you have an image you're really proud of and you think you want to talk about how you did it, or show a specific technique, or maybe you developed some software you want to show off, let us know. We'll invite you on. There's very little we'll say no to.
Yep, and we're easy to reach either on Google Plus or on Facebook if you send us a message that you want to present, or if you have something you'd like to see us present on, please don't be shy.
And take advantage of the fact that you may know somebody who would love to be a presenter. They've just never been asked. They've just never knew what the facility was for, okay, how do you get on here? It's really very easy to do. We still are stuck with that limit. We can only hold about 8 people inside the room. But, you know, if we know that that person's going to be making the presentation, we'll make sure that he or she is one of that 8. And we can get them in here and give them a little practice. All you need is a webcam and you know, your computer, and you pretty much got it. You're ready to go. So if you know somebody that wrote a program or has a program or has some ideas that they would like to share, even if you don't want to do it yourself, we would appreciate you getting that person in contact with us.
I've seen the second suggestion for guiding errors, identifying and correcting guiding errors. And I know in the past when we had, what's his name with PhD guiding?
Alex? Is it Alex? I can't remember now.
Oh.
No.
One of the PhD developers.
Oh my goodness.
And Andy
Galasso. Andy Galasso. He suggested he might come back on, so maybe I'll reach out to him as well. And I see Vic Maris from Stellar View. He'd be a good one to have come on just to talk about Epos and whatever he's got going on. He produces some here.
I spent a couple hours with him yesterday. He did a fascinating description of what makes an Apo an Apo, and did a great job, entertained us all. I was at Nightfall yesterday, which is a star party we have out here in the desert in Southern California, and Vic was one of our presenters. And he, you know, he's always, you know, he's just an old park ranger, and loves being out in the desert and messing around and stuff like that. He had a lot of stuff to tell us about. Who said, hey, somebody's got an, I might be able to cover hyperstar stuff?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so Dylan offered to do that. That would be helpful. Yeah, PEM Pro and PetCurve are both great, and now there were a couple bugs, but it sounds like PEM Pro and SGP are working well together. So that would be a really, really nice thing I think that we could do a presentation on is.
Nick, are you saying that you want to give a presentation or that you would like somebody to do a presentation on PEM Pro? Which is it? Go ahead, type fast, type.
Is the new version of PEM Pro out yet?
I think that it might still be a beta version.
All right, because I did speak to the developer, and he said when it comes out, he'd be glad to come on, but I think it's been taking a little bit longer than they were planning. They got slowed down with the astrophysics driver a little bit, and then PEM Pro was behind that. Dylan, I will definitely take you up on that. I'll try and email you sometime midweek or something.
Nick, okay, laughing out loud. Okay, I get it. Seriously, we may not know stuff. Okay, yesterday when I was walking around Nightfall, my project, and by the way, Josh is trying to do this over, I think it was Chiefland, he's trying to do this wherever he was. We were both at Star Parties this weekend. Anyway, I was videoing a bunch of people as they described their rigs. And I saw something sitting on one of the legs of the one of the tripods, and I said, "Oh, and can you tell us about what this device is right here?" And the guy looks at me and says, "Well, that's a DO controller." And I'm sitting there going, "Well, that's how stupid I am, because I don't even, I don't have DO. I've never dealt with DO. I've never had to deal with DO, and so I didn't know. Oh, that's a DO controller, huh? Okay, cool." And everybody else in the world knows what a DO controller is. So when you sit here and I'm not picking on you, obviously, man, but when you say, "Oh, no, you guys go ahead and tell us about Hyperstar," has it occurred to you, oh loving audience, that there are lots of things we don't know, and we just can't? And what we're doing it like we're asking you guys that have this expertise to enrich our pool of presenters by coming on. I know that there are people out there listening to us right now who use Hyperstar regularly, and we're no smarter than you are. I don't even know what a DO controller is, and everybody else in the world knows that. So really, you guys could help us out a lot.
I think
one other thing we'll try
to California with you, Alex. No DO.
One other thing that we'll try and do is get back to sending out T-shirts to anybody who wants to present.
There you go. Get yourself a free T-shirt.
By the way, Chuck, I live in Southern California. So. But my point being is that, guys, we really need to increase our pool of people that can talk to us, and you may not feel like you're ready to do a presentation. Well, seriously, it's not that difficult. You sit here and you talk to people and tell them what you know. And we all know that you don't know everything. We already know that. But I can tell you for sure, Adam doesn't know everything. David's pretty close.
I really don't.
But at any rate, my point is we do need other people out there to help us with it. Greg Marshall's got a question there. Do you see that? Tangential to equipment storage. I'm curious what people think about breaking things down for storage versus keeping things together as much as possible. And I'll start with my answer is that it depends on what I'm storing them in, and where I'm taking them. I like to keep well, first off, with an observatory out in the desert, I don't break things down. I've got it worked out now where I just simply don't have to break things down. They're there. I take my camera off and bring it home, but all I have to do is take my camera off. I've got an off-axis guider. I've got the 583 system with the built-in built-in filter wheel and off-axis guider, and I actually leave my Lodestar screwed into the port constantly, so it's always screwed in just like that. And I just pull all the cables off, pull off the safety strap, put on the end caps, and boom, it's done. But all the cables are just left there. Now, you're talking, Greg, I believe, about a portable situation. Well, I just came back from a star party this morning, and right now I've got the telescope is sitting in one container. I've taken the finder scope off of it, the guide scope off of it, because it doesn't fit in the case. If it fit in the case properly, I might have left it on. My wiring harness that goes from the top all the way down, that's all still bundled together as one wiring harness, so that I just have to stretch it out, tape it down to the right places, and attach it back together again. So anyway, that's what I would do, and I think the other guys probably have some their own answers. But it all relates to how well it can be packed. On the other hand, in the case of my, we've got somebody feeding back here. In the case of my GMA, I always take the cables off of everything there, because I don't want ever to put pressure on a cable and a jack. You know, where I could, if they gets packed the wrong way, something gets pushed down, and I could break a cable that way, or the very end plug and go as it goes into the jack. So I try to disconnect all those things. I hope that helps answer your questions. I kind of think to keep things together, but not if they're going to stress each other. One of the stories Richard Wright was telling us yesterday about how he's got to ship his equipment when he's going. He can't just carry it on an airplane lots of times. And the reason he does that is because sometimes the inspectors, they don't know what they're getting, and they'll grab his mount by one end of it, and they don't know what kind of stresses they're putting on the rest of it. Well, it just exacerbated so much further if you're leaving all your cables connected, or if you left the telescope connected to a mount or something like that. You wouldn't want to do that. So I would keep all the little parts together as much as I can, as long as they can be packed tight in such a way that one can't flex on the other. Otherwise, I'd separate them.
Yeah, my comment on that is when I'm actually using my wide field scope, the Star 71, I leave my CCD hooked up to it, off-axis guider still screwed in right in the right spot. And then I just pull that off the mount in one nice package. It weighs about, I don't know, 10, 12 pounds, camera and scope. But the mount, I tend to totally break apart. I do leave my cables routed through the mount. But I like leaving the camera on there because I actually hate taking the camera off. I hate the opportunity for introducing dust into the sensor area. So keep it kind of, I guess everyone's going to have their own routine with that, whatever makes you comfortable. But yeah, if you can make a case that'll hold a few pieces of gear attached together, then it works. Now with my new RC, I don't risk it. I take the camera off. Not that I've traveled with my RC yet, but I can barely pick up that RC when it has the camera on there. And I'm afraid I'm going to drop it when I'm mounting it. And I don't mind, well, not that I don't mind dropping the RC, but if I drop the RC with the camera on it, I'd really kick myself. At least risk one fewer piece by taking everything apart. Few different suggestions for online presences. I'm on Astrobin, and I kind of like Astrobin. A lot of people here have their own websites that they post on, and that's really tempting. But at the same time, I maintain too many websites to have my own personal website, so it becomes a little bit more of a task to do. Astrobin makes it so much easier just to post everything, and I even tell people Google Adam Jaffe Astro, and it brings them right to my gallery. So when people ask if I have a website, do I post my stuff, I say Google Adam Jaffe Astro, boom, they're there, they get to see it, and they see all my images.
WD-40 to loosen stuck adapters. Well, yeah, that's not one of those things. Well, not in the field for sure. You got to be real careful with that WD-40. It's like a penetrant, and it can penetrate various places that you don't really want penetrated.
Yeah, a lot of people. What do people use? Wax or silicone to rub on the threads to prevent, like, if something gets stuck frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can wax the threads, and you won't have to. I'm always careful with WD-40. I'm more afraid of what I'm going to accidentally spray with the WD-40 as opposed to what it's going to do for me.
I think the best way to loosen something, if the Velcro straps, or if the not the Velcro, but if the strap wrenches and things won't take it off, is to heat it up and cool it down, or cool it down depending on what situation is. Say, particularly if there's no optics in it, or if it's no electronics in it. If it's just two adapters that are stuck together, go get the oven and run it up to about 150 degrees, and nearly everything will come off at that point.
Or throw it in the freezer.
Yeah, it's one or the other will do it. Mr. Colts fan, identifying and correcting guiding issues, my 2 cents. Does that mean you'd like to give a presentation on that issue? Again, you can't really react back and forth like that. And Adam, how can we get a hold of these people afterwards? You know, if somebody says, "Yeah, I can do a presentation," we can't reach out to them. We don't know who we can't locate them, right? They have to contact us.
Yeah, you guys would have to reach out to us. So drop them. You can go to the astroimagingchannel.com and hit the contact form, and that'll get you to me. Or you can, if you can figure out Google Plus, you can send me a message via that, and it should get you to the same spot. Again, if you know us from Cloudy Nights, I'm Footbag on Cloudy Nights, another way to get me. Basically, whatever it is. On Google Plus, just type in a message, send it to the Astro Imaging channel. That comes directly to me. All right. Well, I think that's basically it for now. Can someone do a presentation on who is John Rista? I saw that. I saw that comment on Cloudy Nights. That was kind of funny. And I see Anis. Anis is here. Actually, I forgot I had intended to get you into the room. But I don't have your email so that we could discuss that collaboration. But either way, I think we have covered a lot of stuff tonight. I am desperately looking for someone to present next week, but I will discuss that with the people in the room, and we'll try and figure something out. If not, maybe we'll do an open session, but we will see. As always, that'll get posted midweek. I see Go Cubs. I'm guessing, I don't know, did they win? Is it over yet? We'll see. But guys, thanks for coming.
I hope we got all of those comments. There were a lot of them coming fast and heavy right there. I don't know if we got them all. I think we did.
I think we did. Yeah. Good night, guys. See you next week.